Hold on.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the South Star Classroom, episode 216. We're working our way into the 200s towards 300 already. It's pretty amazing.
Bro, if we don't like each other, we real good at faking it, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Hell
A
no,
long
man.
time.
I love this crew.
Well, maybe
man.
after today's show, we'll see how you're feeling.
The little brother grates on his older brother. I'm sorry, David.
This is gonna be
Yeah.
the day that everything goes awry.
You know, don't leave me, David. Don't leave me. Go ahead.
No. We're good. I'm David Castillo, one of the co-hosts. We've got Mr. Omar Yanar looking very, very fly, very dapper.
Ooh.
Yeah,
But can
get
you
the
be
whole
fly on a
outfit.
Yeah, let's
plane?
go full screen on that, man.
Ooh.
Look at that.
Oh,
Crazy.
damn. Oh,
Yeah.
damn.
Hot.
Mm. Oh, I tell you what, you know, I get the respect, you know. Oh,
You nailed
Yeah.
it. You do that very well.
Sorry,
But you see
Terry's
how we
2
are when
blocks to the
Jubilee's not
left.
here? See, we
Yeah.
act up when we ain't got the matriarch, you know?
Exactly. And we
like
got
that, man.
Dr. Cole hailing from freezing cold Chicago
Yeah.
land, right?
You know what I'm noticing
Yeah.
though about the doc today, man, is how good the hair looks, man. Because like typically you're wearing a hat, but you
Oh,
got
yeah,
like the
yeah.
good, you got the good hair.
This is my winter hair, you know? This the winter
It's the good hair.
It catches the snow when it snows outside, you know, it just catches the snow for you. It keeps it off your head. Nah,
And
man.
you kind of grew out that goatee. You got the
I'm not.
mustache going.
I really
Looking
was
nice,
just
man.
he just didn't smooth it down, man. It's the gray is trying to take over though, man. I'm like, I don't even pluck it no more, you know.
Ooh, I just want to
Yeah.
do a shout out to our boy Bill. We love you. Look at the callback he made to
Quarter
last week's
zipping.
show
Look at
about
that.
quarter zipping.
He
Yeah,
taught him something new, baby. You got to apply it.
Woo!
indeed, man.
I love it.
That was a good callback, Bill. Way to go.
Nice job. All right. Well, before we dive into today's topic, what's the title of today's show? Teaching and or leading and or
Yeah,
living beyond the bait.
living beyond
Modeling
the bait, baby.
leadership for the next generation. So we're going to get into it with some examples and have a good discussion. But wanted to see, the holidays are coming up. Wanted to see how both of you are faring and if you have any plans or any other items you'd like to check in about.
I write a refusal, Omar. Go ahead, brother.
Really, I love Christmas, man. I am a Christmas addict. And when I mean that, man, like I took my goddaughter in Denver to one of those like walk through light things. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's like all these beautiful lights are lit up in a park or like the zoo or the botanical gardens. And you walk through these beautiful light displays, drinking mulled wine or hot cocoa. Like, I'm not lying when I tell you this. I was there and I had this like funny little existential moment as I was talking with her. And I was like, if I could be anywhere in the world, doing anything in the world right now, any place, anywhere, doing anything, International Man of Mystery style, what would I be doing? Exactly that. Taking my goddaughter to walk through those lights. That's how much I love Christmas. That's how much I love mulled wine, Christmas markets, decorations, the whole thing, man. I am in. And I think the ebb and flow of it is, gentlemen, why I love it. It's not the lights and all the decorative components, although I love all that. I think it's the spirit of kindness. That is, I think, what gets me the most is like people are a little bit kinder, a little bit lighter, a little bit easier. And I think I was like, damn, man, I just wish people were like that every day. Because come January 5th, Doc, man, I'm just going to get like cold cut salamis thrown at me for no apparent reason. And it'd be like, boo this man, and just throwing cold cut salamis at me for no reason. Really, I didn't smell like I even did anything. Gentlemen, You got Christmas plans? You got things? I mean, Doc was telling me that he's gonna kick back and rest, which I hear that, man. I need some sleep too, brother.
I got you. Let me clear up something for Toya too. A cultural reference just got mixed up when you said you made a good comment about my hair.
Yeah, it looks good.
No, I know it looks good. I love Toya. Thank you so much. Toya was hearing that it's a thing in Black communities about good hair and what it is, and paper bag test, and basically when Black people have different texture hair, they call it good hair. He didn't mean that. I promise you, he did not know that. It didn't mean all that. But he was just saying the hairdo because my hair is normally covered up, and he could tell I got a line up. So I appreciate her being on the proud for it. But this, if you not culturally knowledgeable, you will watch this show and you will definitely get some brown cultural knowledge and some Black cultural knowledge. And if we had our lovely matriarch, you get some Black woman cultural knowledge that goes deep.
I just learned I need to say your hair looks good because good hair means something differently.
Good, yeah. It's basically, let's say if there's like a bunch of kids and colorism, right? So 2 dark-skinned kids and a light-skinned kid, they'll be like to the light-skinned kid, oh, he got that good hair. He got whatever. You know what I'm saying? And the darker skinned kids might get treated differently or whatever. Or you can tell when somebody's mixed or whatever. Like I told you, my cousin, they Black and Mexican kids, their hair texture is different. But anyway, I definitely
we digress.
We digress, but I loved the moment both ways because I knew what you meant and I know what she caught. So yes, but I'm glad we could be there for that. I think for me, man, I don't want to do anything. Christmas is by far my favorite holiday. I love the lights. I love the colors. And I'm not, I know people think I'm bougie. I'm not. I like color trees. I like color lights on trees. I know it's elegant to do the yellow lights, but I still like color lights. I used to just stare at them when I was younger. But I don't want to do anything. I have some business travel coming up tomorrow, and then when I get back home, I want to shut it down. I will probably make my home available to like my aunt and my uncle. Y'all know I've talked about my uncle for a while here. He's getting up there. You never know when it's the last holiday. I got a new chair. It's my lazy boy, but that's the dude that helped get me through college. So I would love nothing more. They can come through. We can do some eggnog with some cognac or something, and then he can just have the chair. Hey man, just sit in the chair and enjoy, and enjoy your nephew's house. Outside of that, man. Oh, I did get my gammas. Now this is shoe culture. I will go grab the shoe. It was a very difficult shoe to win in this lotto. So as you're telling your story and you have a break in it, David, I'll show the shoe.
You're speaking like foreign language to me right now, but I would say yes.
I thought about you though, because it reminded me when you start talking about DJ stuff, and there's like surface level DJ talk that everybody gets. When you go that next layer, like I know you probably seen Menace to Society, and they got the whole scratching battle. I love that part, but you probably understand that on a different level.
You're right. I get you now. I get you.
So I'm gonna go grab that for you, but I got you, Omar, because y'all was asking. So do your thing.
All right. We're good down here. Just getting ready for the holidays too. Work is still pretty busy right now, but hopefully towards the end of the week, it kind of starts to die down a little bit. I've got some new prospective clients coming on board in January, which is really exciting. So we'll be doing some negotiating over the holidays. And what else is going on? We're just going to be chilling, relaxing. We got family coming into town. And so it feels okay. I see what you mean. Can we see them?
Oh yeah, absolutely. They're already on the resale market for $400. They are already there. It's
okay. All right.
It's a very beautiful shoe.
What are these? I mean, I know
these are the Jordan 11 Gammas. Okay, the Gammas.
Okay.
And they're very difficult to get. And
why are they called 11 Gammas? What's the significance of that?
Each shoe gets like a code name or a name that you kind of. So the black and red versions are the breads when they come out. Like you just sometimes they name them
Lingo.
Jordan at Nike or Jordan. Sometimes the street names them, so it's a whole thing. But getting that shoe,
I don't know what the resale value on these is, but these are pretty cool too.
Man, that's a boomerang, brother. That is what we refer to in the Latino community as a boomerang, the chancla, man. You throw that shit, it's buddy, and it snaps back like a boomerang right back into our hands and shit.
I've been hit with one of those before, so
Yeah, there you go. We all have.
Haven't we all?
And what else is going on? So we've got school's about to end. They've got my son's doing finals right now. So he finished 2 finals today. He's got 2 more, and then 2 more. So that'll be good. Take a little break there. And yeah, just been getting outside, getting a lot of exercise. And like I said, I've been swimming a lot. So I would love being back in the water. And yeah, I mean,
getting back in the water, man.
Yeah, man, like a baby,
San Diego, baby.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
nice. Yeah,
I'm excited for today's topic, man. I'm really excited about it. I was when I saw it come through, I was surprised, but I wasn't. But I was like, oh, okay. It felt like you had a different idea, and then that happened. But I'm interested. I want to know.
Maybe. So let's get into it. And I think this is your comments about us going into the holiday season, Omar, and people are generally nicer and kinder.
Yeah, maybe I spoke too soon.
Most people. All right. So we are going to get into it, and I've got a graphic for us I'll pull it up when it's appropriate. So we're going to talk about the topic of, technically we're talking about rage bait. We can define what rage bait is, but just in general, the level of discourse, online. I think most of it's online. I don't think people talk this way in real life. I would hope they don't. The political debates, the left, the right, Trump, Biden. Now there's a whole war on the right and an anti-immigrant push, and it's pretty crazy. So. But what made me want to bring this forward was that we had, and I'm sure everybody's heard about it now, Rob Reiner and his wife were, they were tragically taken from us, sadly at the hands of their son, who had history of struggle with mental health and drug issues. Addiction, man. It's we've all, some of us have been through it, and some of us have been, most of us have been touched by it, in some way, shape, or form. So that's real. And it's really sad because, I like 3 nights ago, I was watching Stand By Me, for the 10th time, right? We love that movie. And, he was an American icon. He was a political figure. He was a humanitarian. He was a lot of things. I don't really want to make this about like him in particular. Right. But it's pretty well known that he was like, he was a liberal, right? Even if you go back to like his character on All in the Family, he's Archie Bunker's son. And Archie Bunker
how old I was when I realized that was him. I don't know. When you don't recognize somebody's skin. He was a young kid. He was a kid. And he's a grown man, but it was like, oh, wait, that's Rob Reiner.
That's him, dude. Yeah,
that's
we have to do a show in the future at some point, though, honoring All in the just how progressive,
it's exactly
fearless All in the Family was, and how it pushed race relations,
man,
in the smartest ways possible.
All of that, and they. And so, in the show, just real quickly, Archie Bunker is the father. He's this grumpy old dude, is mad at the world, mad at his kid, comes up with a nickname for him, calls him Meathead, and Rob Reiner is like the classic, like younger, kind of hippie-ish guy.
He was the boyfriend, right?
Was he the daughter's boyfriend? Maybe. Maybe.
Yeah.
And so, today he'd be probably categorized as a progressive left guy, but whatever. That's all part of the show. And so he's gone on to have this long legacy. A couple days ago, this tragedy happens, and he and his wife are no longer here. And now we have a family in mourning. So, and a lot of people too. So what does our our fearless leader, son-in-law. There you go.
He
Thank
was
you.
not boyfriend, my bad, but yeah, he was the
Great. We got some OGs in the building. Let me pull this up real quick.
I mean, OG Nick and Knight, man. You know what I'm saying? If you want us to, we can comment on that or go around while you pull that up, man, if you like, so you don't have to rush.
Here we go.
Man, RIP to Rob Reiner, man. I said, great.
Yeah.
I love Rob Reiner movies, you know, and I know he had his fair. You good? I was just stretching for you.
So no, go ahead. It's fine.
But you know, man, it is super tragic, and you know, depending on how personal we want to get, like, you know, I was the child of two addicts, and I went through that process and went through NA and AA with my parents, which I'll never forget. I actually appreciate it. I think it's helped me in a lot of ways, just being a kid, going and seeing that stuff. So, and you know, I know his parents was doing everything they could for him. I think that he even did a movie with his son to kind of explore, you know, what that was. And when you get into that mania, that manic state, and I've seen it, you know, I've seen it with my parents. I've seen my dad and my mom at both different times, and you don't recognize that person. You know what I'm saying? Addiction is a different type of sickness. So RIP to him and his wife, and it's just tragic. It's just really sad.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And I think most human beings can like recognize that. You know, they think about the loss of, you know, a person and the impact to their family, and then the guy's artistic legacy that he's left with us, obviously, through his directing, acting, and producing of movies. But this is what Donald Trump had to say about it, right? This is like literally the next day. Very sad thing happened last night in Hollywood. Rob Reiner, tortured and struggling, but once very talented movie director, has passed away together with his wife, Michelle, reportedly due to the anger he caused others through his massive, unyielding, and incurable affliction with the mind-crippling disease known as Trump derangement syndrome, sometimes referred to as TDS. He was known to have driven people crazy by his raging obsession of President Donald J. Trump, with his obvious paranoia reaching new heights as the Trump administration passed all goals and expectations of greatness. And with the golden age of America upon us, perhaps like never before, may Rob and Michelle rest in peace. Okay? Total dog shit, right? So, I mean, it's crazy, man. So he somehow, okay, so the point is not like really to focus on like what Donald Trump said. We know he's going to say things like that, right? He's a narcissist. He's insensitive. He's insane. He's crazy. He's an evil person. But yes. My question for you, so this is an example of like rage bait. Like, we don't know if he probably really means this, but these are very like inflammatory comments to come from anybody. Like, if you heard somebody on the street say that, you'd be like, you're crazy. But this is the president of the United States, right? Okay. So we've gotten to a point in this country where we've lost control of the dialogue, right? It's just like full-blown attack. People are saying crazy things, you know, and I'm wondering, you know, most of this revolves in and around politics and cultural issues. So my question for you all is, what were your first thoughts when you saw this pop up?
I'll go.
His comments specifically.
I didn't, it's Trump. I don't really, this is the thing. I was kind of surprised that so many people were like surprised or outraged. Like, I see a lot of Republicans that's like really wagging a finger at him. And I'm just like, he just is who he says he is and who he's been. For me, I think I don't really pay too much attention. That's on brand for him. And those two really didn't like each other. And I can imagine the stuff that's going to be said about Trump. Listen, I don't like Trump. Like, he's our president and it is what it is. And I want, you know, our country to be okay. But I also just don't react to like a lot of these shenanigans in a lot of ways. I don't. But when you sent the thing over and I saw how big it was and how big it had gotten, right? I'm like, well, I guess it's a good topic. Maybe I'm just disconnected. It's just on brand. I'm not shocked. I mean, is this lower than the lowest point that he's ever had? Like I don't know. So that's my reaction to it. It's just kind of like, you know, I mean, this is what he wants. That's why he did it. He knows how to keep his name in people's mouth. the best way to beat Trump outside of political stuff, you know, because you can't just ignore that. You have to engage. I have an article about how you engage, but it's to just ignore him on the social stuff. That's death for him. Death for him is the jeers and the cheers stopping. He don't care if you're cheering or jeering. It's Floyd Mayweather mentality. I don't care if you come to watch me win or lose. You paid to come. And I think as long as you keep paying for the circus, you're going to see fucking circus. So that I just didn't have a lot of strong thoughts. That's all I got for it. Oh,
how about you, Omar?
I'm going to take this a little bit into the direction that you want to go in, David, is forget about Trump for a moment and think about just any leader. And I deal with this a lot. And gentlemen, I think you all have dealt with this a lot. People will say something very silly, like, well, this is just the way that I am, and people can deal with it. And I'm like, well, that's cool if, I don't know, you're not a manager or if you're not the leader. How about the publicly elected leader of the United States? Now, oftentimes when a president gets elected, even the people who did not vote for him will say, this is the will of this democracy, of this representative democracy, and therefore he's still our president. I may not support him, I may not vote for him, but he's still the president of the United States. I'm still a citizen of the United States. And I think it does a lot of disservice, not just in terms of a leadership position, and certainly internationally, because this is also something I'm dealing with. So let me kind of tear this out into three. You're a leader, you have a responsibility to the people that you lead. And within that responsibility, one has to actually be conscientious of what they say, because it's not just about you anymore. And this is why he's such a narcissist, because he thinks it's all about him. And when you're a leader, it's the exact opposite. It's all about the people that you are leading and not about you. So what are you saying that is going to get people motivated, kind, thoughtful, working towards the greater good, working towards the greater interest? Because how you act, people will replicate, because they'll feel emboldened. Well, if the leader's doing this, I have every right to do this. And what Trump is essentially saying to the country is, hey, I'm the leader of the free world. It's totally okay to mock the dead and say disparaging things about people because I'm doing it. And I think that's a horrific example, but these have massive consequences, David, from a global perspective.
Yep.
These are the kinds of things that break treaties. These are the things that break trade deals. These are the kinds of things that, like, someone who is like the, I don't know, sane, competent prime minister of Japan is looking at this and being like, how are we supposed to do business with this? Now, someone's going to fire back at me and be like, Omar, a comment like that's not going to stop international business at all. Accounts to money and economics. And I will say this, like, people are people, bro. You forget the lessons that we learned at the Kennedy School. To go into that room and have to deal with that person is still a duty of a prime minister or a diplomat. And if they can't stand that person, that will affect the deal no matter what. Humans are not devoid of emotion. So I think that the consequences can be really grave, man. And like, I don't care if you're the manager of Burger King and shit, you probably shouldn't be saying shit like that.
Exactly. And so, or a teacher or a parent or
exactly. Yeah, man. Or the leader of the free world.
Anybody that has anybody within earshot of you. So, okay. So let's think about this, because you mentioned it, the ability to like separate, and we are all humans. We have emotions, but like separating emotion when it comes to a political debate, right? Because what I'm seeing now, and I'm going to ask both of you, like, how have you done this in your conversations with, colleagues or friends or family? What we're seeing now, every single thing that we see now come up in the media. So like this really sad thing happened in Australia, right? There's a mass shooting. and what's the angle? It's like, oh, these guys are like, they're from the Middle East, they're terrorists, let's close the borders, right? Two people, right, had rifles. Or this is why everyone needs to have guns in Australia, right? They run all the way to these like these outlier kind of positions. Even looking at like what happened with Charlie Kirk, they did their best to make this some kind of connection to like the trans community, right? They didn't really do a good job because I don't think there was a connection there. But every single thing that we see now, the rhetoric gets taken to the total extreme, the outliers. And so how do you engage in these conversations with people? I mean, are you experiencing that in like your personal and professional lives when you have conversations about politics?
That's a good question, dude. I will say this, at least amongst my friends, and Doc, I don't know if you have the similar situation, because I've got friends that voted for Trump twice now, right? Because it's been what, three times that one could vote for Trump. So twice now, right? Like they voted for Trump, then they voted for Biden. And then this last election, they voted for Trump again. And I think the first time they voted for Trump, holy cow, man, like that was, all sails towards the black sunset. Like things went really awry. And it emboldened people to say, I think, pretty terrible things to one another and assessments of one another. What I found this time around is I've had friends that voted for Trump and are like, look, I'm done. I'm done trying to convince you of something. I'm done thinking that politics should be the end all be all of your personality. I love you. You have made a choice that I disagree with, but you've probably made a lot of choices I disagree with. This is just yet another choice that you have made that I disagree with, but I ain't going to base an entire personality on it, nor am I going to disparage you for it. So we quickly got over it and just went on and discussed other things, because we've gotten to that point where I think it should be, where politics do not beget the person, do not beget the woman, beget the man. Yeah, maybe I can make some assumptions or inferences about you depending on your political proclivities, but I'm a political scientist by study, and so is so are you, so is Doc, and we both know that like how you were raised creates a 96% chance that you're going to be of that political persuasion. So I'm going to blame somebody on how they were raised? Like, can't do that. I think that we've gone into like a very congenial way of speaking, but that's also a group of good, highly educated.
I don't know if that logic or that research is applicable in the case of MAGA. Like MAGA doesn't seem like it's not like traditionally a Republican. It's its own thing, right?
It is its own thing.
So it's not like a political party. It's a movement. Some say it's a cult. So I don't know if I think a lot of people got swept up under MAGA that were disillusioned. And so I don't know if that logic or that research applies to MAGA. But anyways, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, no, and I honestly think it's a little too early from a political science perspective. We're going to need a lot more data to kind of configure like, hey, how did this buck the trend? Because it definitely did. But getting to the question of how have I seen this play out in conversations?
Yeah.
What I have seen play out, dude, are these obnoxious ass fucking bumper stickers on people's cars, fucking the "Don't Tread on Me," the fucking American flag all backwards and shit, the blue line on the American flag, and I know exactly what all of these things mean, and like I support the police, but like if you're making this thing your personality so much so that you have to broadcast it to everybody on the back of your fucking pickup truck, like you're a piece of shit. Because what you're doing is essentially saying, I'm using my freedom of speech to come out here and broadcast things. But what you're doing is starting shit. And I have a disagreement with that because those are the kinds of cats that I think if I met face to face, we'd get along just fine. We'd probably be having a beer and find something common about. But those things, those symbols, they inflate anger and create a weird sense of camaraderie because what you're doing is boiling down your personality to this one trait. And that's on you, brother. Like, I'm not putting a bunch of bullshit ass, obnoxious, disgusting bumper stickers on the back of my car trying to like encapsulate my personality with one fucking slogan. And if that's your personality, like, that sucks, dude.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man, but like, oh, you're a shitty human being if your personality can be boiled down into a bumper sticker.
What about you, Charles? How's this playing out in your spaces?
I mean, I have two answers. I have different groups of people. I think that my middle class friends and up, my friends that have jobs where they don't punch into a clock, that have a salary, where, you know, we could take personal days. I think that they're having a lot more conversations about it. I think that, and if we're looking at Maslow, I can be nerdy with it. You know what I'm saying? The people that are able to do the self-actualization of life, I think they have a lot more conversation and are a lot more in my groups. They're a lot more emotionally connected to it. I think the vast majority of the people that I know that's in my family, that's lower middle class and below, that's working different type of job, grunt work, you know, having to kind of scrape and do those things. They're not having conversations like that. This is not major news if you a poor black cat in the south side of Chicago, right? Like if I don't like Trump, it's more fodder for me not liking Trump. But also when Trump dies, if Rob Reiner would have been alive, Rob Reiner would have probably had some wild shit to say about Trump too, right? So I think my thing is, you know, I'm trying to attack the question. I know I always do this, and I'm trying not to get very meta with the question. If the question is about Donald Trump specifically and like how people are talking about him or whatever the case is in this moment, that's one type of answer. Now, if the question is a larger political science, how leaders should talk, what message we should be conveying.
I mean, the question is about the radicalization of the discourse around political issues and your experience with it.
Yeah, I think, listen, man, look, fucking George Wallace died in what? 1997, 1998? Like George Wallace, like George Wallace hated black people. Like George Wallace never stopped hating Negroes since they were called Negroes. You understand? Like, so for me, I grew up with a grandmother who was born a few years after like certain things in history happened. I lived in Kentucky. I'm just socialized to these things in a different way, and people gonna do it. I think there's a level of theater here. I think, but the people that I know that are in those different brackets, like I know if I'm talking to you and Omar and Chris and Toya or whatever, we probably gonna have a talk about Trump and what Trump is doing. But like my uncle that I'm talking about trying to get over here, who's older now, and like he gonna be like, "What you talking about? What happened? Oh, damn, that's crazy." Like it's just not. I don't know how to say. There's a certain level. I don't want to say that because it's gonna sound wrong. I'll just say it and know that my heart don't mean nothing by it because I'm part of this group too. I'm part of our group. But there's a certain level of privilege we got where that can be the top thing on our mind today. As opposed to somebody that got to go out, salt roads, it's 5 degrees, it's about to get colder, and there's an ice storm coming. They don't give a shit. Like, they're just like, you know, they might complain about the price of groceries and things like that, but they're not. It's a sign of how good my life is going if this is the biggest issue that I'm dealing with today. And I think that's a blessing. And again, I just get this grounded perspective because I do this stuff and then I got to go drop off bags of food to like people I know and love or whatever. And it's just not part of the small talk that comes up. But I do think, go ahead. That's it. I'll end it there because I was going to go into a different realm about free speech.
Well, let's do that too. But I also want to, you talked about growing up in Paducah, Kentucky, right? And so I think there's definitely like a regional aspect to like how one sees the world.
Yeah.
Where, I mean, I remember the first time I went to Atlanta probably in the 1990s, and I was in the South, driving in southern Georgia, going to like, I think going through Alabama and we were going to the panhandle of Florida. Methicola or Pensacola, sorry.
Yeah.
Pensacola in Florida, yeah.
Yeah. And I remember seeing the bumper stickers, the
Yeah.
South will rise again.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah,
I'm
dude,
like,
they're
what?
still there, bro.
I'm like, does that say what I think it's saying? My
Right.
brother was like, yeah, it is. I was like, wow, man, that's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so thinking about so now let's, and I agree, we do have a certain amount of privilege to even be talking about this stuff,
Yeah, and
right?
I'm not trying to be that
as three
pretentious
like men
guy. I
of,
didn't
as
know how
three
to
men
say
of
it
color,
better,
right?
David. Yeah. I just didn't know how to say it better, but it's just like,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's good. We've earned this position. We all have.
Right.
So now let's bring it to the level of like students and young people.
There you go.
Right.
Okay.
Charles, you run an organization, a national organization,
Right.
that supports the development of young people in and around their agency, right? Energy
Yep.
Converters. Omar, you run a multi-school charter school network in El Paso. Sounds like you're going to be doing some other work in Colorado. So you know, under your
Thanks,
leadership, you have, you know, many children, right, in their community. So my question to you is, and I'm raising a 15-year-old who I just discovered the other day has been listening to Nick Fuentes, right? I'm like,
yeah,
you can't stop it. Free speech.
Yeah, can't stop.
See,
and so
that's what I'm saying.
So my question to you there is like, you know, how do we help young people navigate the discourse that we know they are watching it. They're all watching
Absolutely.
it. I mean, they're the most exposed to social media, so they're seeing all of it, right? And it is definitely like shaping, as everything that goes into the mind of an adolescent and a young person shapes their worldview. How can like families, how can schools, you know, address that? Create spaces to like.
I love that question. I appreciate that. And thank you for helping me parse, because again, I have different thoughts on different things. I think that with me and Round Agency, and we just, you know, I now have the 501c3 for the Agentic Institute. So Energy Converters is moving under there. It's been a lot of work.
Congrats,
thank you. It's very stressful, but it's great. But part of that is I can't make choices for you. I can't. So what type of leader do you want to be? Like, what is your thing what's that thing inside you? Like, this is right or this is wrong. And how do you want to kind of show up? Leadership looks very different. And I think that, you know, there was a point that Omar made, which I hear him and I agree with personally, but from a philosophical standpoint, I don't know if I can about the "don't tread on me," you know, bumper sticker. But if we see a super liberal bumper sticker right next to it, right, it's like, remember those coexist bumper stickers? Like, I get the point of them, it's all the religions. But if you're like a devout Muslim, Christian, whatever, it's a sin it's a sin to accept other gods. You know what I'm saying? Like so what I'm saying is, I think we're in a time and place where everybody is signaling. Everybody's trying to over signal who they are, what they belong to. And so again, I think if you're a conservative person, I've never been a conservative person, and I never will be. But if you're a conservative person, you feel like the left has had the microphone and the influence for so long, and the Rob Reiner's been able to say whatever, and now you got this guy that's breaking out of that, and kids that you never would have thought are listening to Nick Fuentes, are listening to these other people, are listening to Candace Owens, who's having her own kind of moment, are listening to Charlie Kirk. You know what I'm saying? It's like there's something that we have to listen to. There's some kind of place where the conversation has been broken off, and somebody's not listened to the point that that's who they are looking at. Because I think Nick Fuentes is a fucking dork. I slapped the shit out of Nick Fuentes, and I'm not a hard person. I'm not even trying to be like, I'm not even tough. Like, this is what I'm saying. I'm not a tough guy. But what I'm saying is that when I was younger, the people I looked up to, there was something about them that I respected, or like, you know, Nick Fuentes talks with his chest out all the time. And my thing is, because ain't nobody punched him in his shit. I'm not advocating violence. What I'm saying is, this is a different generation. I'm from the generation when you call somebody a bitch or you call somebody out their name, you got to have your hand up, because you might about to punch you in the mouth. There are certain things that used to happen and play out. I learned that the hard way on a basketball court when I was younger, and was like,
exactly.
So I'm gonna watch my mouth. And I think that some lessons have to be learned and they're gonna be harder to get. But I think with young people, I think the mistake is trying to tell them how to be, tell them what to say, tell them what to do, because as extreme as Trump is, these left people are extreme, and what you're seeing is these boys that have not been allowed to play. Every aspect of their characteristic has been called toxic the last 2 or 3 years. You got this loneliness epidemic. Trump ain't helping none of this shit. But what I'm saying, there's another problem there that I think that we're ignoring because Trump is so out there. And I think you have to reset a lot of things and have a space where these boys and girls can come together, ask questions. Oh, you know what that place used to be called? Fucking college. College used to be the place where different ideas battle it out. And it's not that anymore. And I just wrote an article. I just did the show earlier. You know, like in the last 8 years, there's 600,000 less black males in colleges and on college campuses, and it's getting worse. And the numbers for white kids are not the same. The numbers for males are just dropping drastically, and we can keep wagging the finger. I think our side likes to sound right more than we like to do right and be right. And I think that that's going to come back and bite us. So that's my answer of how I would deal with that. Is like, think for yourself and let's talk about it, why you feel that way.
I think you struck a nerve with me.
And that's a good thing. We're doing radio now.
Should we give you full screen?
No, not yet, because this is going to take a little while to kind of come out.
Well, let them see the full suit for a little bit. Go ahead, brother.
I think that I was thinking back, who did I listen to as a kid, and how did that influence me? And when people are like, who are your inspirations? And like, it bores people because I'm always like, dude, my mom, my dad, my sister, like greatest influences, greatest motivating factors. And then people are like, dude, yeah. Well, who's beyond that? And like, you know, people will, Eminem will go Jay-Z, Biggie, Tupac and Biggie, Andre from Outkast, Nas and Vinny. I will go Eddie Murphy, George Carlin, Dennis Miller, Jon Stewart, Stephen Colbert, Chris Rock, Kevin Smith. My greatest influences in terms of my thinking and in terms of my youth were all comics. And if you know something about any of these comics, they were all satirists. They are all satirists if they're still alive, right? So they deal a ton with political satire. In satire and in comedy, there's critical thinking.
Right.
And there's truth. So I love the Dennis Miller show. He'd go after Clinton and Bush equally. I love Bill Maher. He'll go after Trump and, you know, anyone else. In this case, you know, Biden recently equally. He'll go after Democrats and Republicans. And that level of like kind of calling everybody out for their shit is quintessentially the importance of comedy, because in comedy there's truth. I think I have a lot of difficulty with influencers these days because these influencers know exactly what they're doing and they don't give a fuck about the comedy or the factual component. It is really all about their monetary gain. That is Bill O'Reilly, that is Tucker Carlson, that is Rachel Maddow. All right. Like maybe Rachel Maddow really gives a shit about our political philosophies, but like that woman's doing shit for the money, and good for her. You're a left-leaning person and you're doing that because that is your living. And Tucker Carlson, that guy goes home and literally like on record has said on those text messages that got flooded, how much he's just full of shit. Trump. And it's really just
Trump is full of shit.
Exactly. But this is the worry that
Can I just call out Bill Conrad's knowledge of rap music right here with this reference?
Little baby. All
right, sorry.
What about Little Romeo? What about Little Nas X? I snort. I did, Bill. Way to go, man. You just made me laugh, snort. Way to go, man. I love you, Bill. I really do, man.
Bill is great. You can't post like, comments, but Bill is great.
But this is my beef, because look, kids are always going to be influenced. I was a weird kid who was influenced by brilliant comics.
Right.
I don't think every kid was influenced by brilliant comics when I was growing up. They were probably listening to all sorts of shit. Rush Limbaugh was on the radio spouting out egregious horse shit. So much so, L. Franken wrote a whole book called Rush Limbaugh is a Big Fat Idiot.
Yep. And what did we do to Al Franken?
Yeah, exactly. That was
did him dirty.
The Democrats.
You see what I'm saying?
Massively
Right
on that one. Yeah. And this is, I think, where it gets to like political discourse is that on one end, I think that this MAGA situation has like destroyed critical thought. But I think that critical thought has been destroyed in the past. People who followed Reagan, people who followed Hitler, people that followed fucking like those weird Baptist plans where everyone committed suicide or started murdering someone in Waco, Texas. What I get to is that I think people are highly influenced. And this goes back to the crux of my conversation is that if you know people are highly influenced, and I think people like Tucker Carlson and these influencers know that people can be easily influenced, I would take the responsibility and the ethics of saying, what am I doing with that level of influence, with that responsibility? And how am I at least painting as objective a picture as I can, give as much factual information as I can, and give people some semblance of choice and critical thought? But that's me. I think that the overwhelming majority of people are either like, this is easy to influence people and I'm going to make money and power out of it, so I'm going to take advantage of it, or I'm just going to believe Trump or my preacher and not think about any of this stuff. Because this whole MAGA crew who keeps quoting the Bible ain't never read the Bible. And they're like, I read this passage and I read this passage. Horse shit. I read that book cover to cover. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. These Democrats who are out here spitting liberal bullshit because they read something or heard something but never looked up the source, I think are doing as much of a disaster as everyone else, because that is also misinformation. Do I think it's as disastrous as the right? I really don't think so, because no one on the left is calling for like egregious murders, except for some of these people recently with this Charlie Kirk thing, which I'm like, yo, hey, maybe you don't call for murder. Can we just go ahead and say it here? Like, we should not be calling for the harm or murder of anybody. Yep. But this gets to the leadership component. As a leader, you've got some semblance of influence, and especially on young people. So what should we do for young people? We should understand that they are being inundated with horseshit information more so than any generation has ever been inundated with before. There's no, like, you cannot compare the New York Times to Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. You cannot. The New York Times does not have an algorithm of addiction. And these platforms absolutely have an algorithm of addiction, absolutely spread misinformation, absolutely lie to you, and there is no critical thought. So I always go back to, how are we teaching anybody, inclusive of adults, the critical thought of just taking a moment, pausing, stopping, and saying, is what I'm reading or what I'm listening to factual? Can I do a quick check to see if this survey, if this comment, if this has any relevancy? And I don't think most people make that second click. I don't think they take that pause and just simply hear something and be like, I don't know about that. Let me look that up.
It's such a basic thing, right? It's like, is what I'm reading true? Right? It's a very basic thing, but in today's world and the way that information is put out and absorbed, and then we move on to the next thing, like, you just, like, people assume things are real. I mean, I've fallen into that trap too, but I've slowed down. So I think, you know, the thing that I want to focus on here is like young people. Like, how are young people experiencing the political discourse, right? And I don't know. I'm not young. I talk to my son, talk to his friends. Whenever I can get in front of young people, you know, love having conversations with them. But, you know, I'm no longer a teacher. I'm no longer working in schools. And so for me, it's like you can't control the flow of information. Like if you're going to do that as a parent or as a school system, like whatever, good luck with that. Like students have access to pretty much, young people have access to everything now. And the best that you can do is, I think what you're talking about, Omar, is like helping them understand that, like, okay, so you saw this. Now the next thing is like, have you fact checked that? Do you think that's real? Because that sounds kind of crazy, right? And the whole like world of AI is twofold. It's making that more challenging, with the proliferation of fake news and fake media and fake videos and fake photographs. But it also makes it kind of easier because AI can also do some pretty incredible fact checking. And then the second thing I think it's really important here, and maybe you can speak to this, Charles and Omar, I don't know what's happening in your schools, is just providing like spaces for young people to like ask questions of adults, right? What are you seeing? What do you have questions about? What's trending in your world? I don't really, we're not going to talk about like music or things like that, but like, if as scary as it seems to be a history teacher in 2025, I would love to be a history teacher in 2025 because there's so much like opportunity to dialogue about all the stuff that's happening in the world.
Yeah, listen, man, I think these are great points. I wish we had more time, and I can go longer, but I just feel like, I think, are we really ready to have the real conversations about the hypocrisy? Because when you start having the hypocrisy conversations, then everybody got to look at them. News is not just competing for attention with other news. It's competing. If you're how old is your son? I'm gonna be very honest right now. Your son is how old?
15.
If you're 15, if the news is competing for his eyes, you know what else is? TNA. Ask him, like, it's, you go online, like I'm serious.
Totally.
I definitely thought you meant TNA, Total Nonstop Action Professional Wrestling.
Absolutely.
That's where you were going.
That too. And now that everything, and we've been trained as a new generation to have 5-second, 10-second attention spans.
Oh yeah.
Trump is an effective communicator in this time that he's helped procure. And I think that also I think Trump is an asshole. And I just don't pay, I pay attention to the politics and the things like that. But if you react to every social thing that he does, he's winning. That's the goal. Yeah. That's the purpose. The best way to kill a jester is don't fucking laugh. And I think that, like, so my thing is just, if you want these young people, I use my grandmother. My grandmother has to be my center, who raised me, who died when I was 9. But I'm like, if my grandmother's in front of me and she heard me say that, how would she feel? I shame myself. I can depress myself for a week with some of the shit that I've done and then redoing it as if my grandmother was looking at me. That's my thing. That's my anchor. People got to figure out what their anchor was. Maybe your granny on some bullshit and she shouldn't be an anchor. I don't know. But with young people, I'm like, you have to really read for you what feels good and why does this feel good? Like, what should happen? What is your internal code? Because we're getting further and further away from a code and more to an algorithm. And I'll say this about my side. My side doesn't make it better because they come off as perfect or better than all the time. Nobody wants to be constantly down talked to. And it's rough. I'm a black man right now. I'm a black man. When everything about you is called toxic or bad or wrong, and you have to listen, when I was building this and I got this program and I said I want to have a black male program team, do you understand the level of pushback I got? Now, if it was an all-woman team, no pushback. If it's an all-Latino woman, no pushback. All black, no pushback. So when a lot of these people, fuck Trump for a minute, right? Forget Trump. I want to focus on that 16-year-old boy that we was talking about, and it's not even David's son anymore. But just think about the conflicting messages he's getting about his own existence, the impulses he has as a growing and maturing boy. When you told all that shit is evil, and then you see somebody in power that's like, nah, man, be you. and I'm gonna be me, and I'm gonna perform me. So whether it's Nick Fuentes or Trump or any of these people, these folks are finding this haven. Like, and when I was a kid, you know who I listened to growing up? Fucking Tupac. You couldn't tell me nothing. If Tupac said X, I don't give a. I could have had Martin Luther King in front of me. I'm just telling you. Like, if listen, y'all just did this. Y'all just did this thing about hip hop. Look up NBA YoungBoy. He has no commercial hits. He has no radio hits. He is the most popular musician alive right now. Like, if you go look at one of his concerts, remember we was talking about that YN movement? It's there. It is there, and you can't tell them anything. And by wagging your finger and telling them how bad they are and how they shouldn't do it, you know what that does to a fucking teenager? It makes them want to do it more. If your daughter is in Catholic school wearing a uniform and you are down her back about don't do this, don't do that, or whatever, she can't wait to go outside. That parents are rebellious. But what happens when your country's rebellious? What happens when adults are being rebellious? And that's, we have such a arrested development of maturity in this country right now that you have 50-year-olds acting out like 15-year-olds. And then we have to start having that conversation, because I can handle David's kid listening to that and we can have a conversation and we can still dig deep. But what the fuck am I supposed to say to a 55-year-old that's listening to that, and that's where they're getting their source from? It's a backwards time right now, but in these times, you got to stick to your square. David might have that grandmother or his uncle or somebody. There might be somebody in his psyche that when he wants to do crazy shit, or maybe it's his kid, he's a father, right? So somebody's looking at him constantly. Omar might have that. You people that's listening, what is your anchor that will bring you back to center? My grandmother had Jesus. And you can say what you want about it, but that's what she had. So a lot of people don't have anything. Religion is dropping. College is dropping. All this shit is dropping. So there's a new normal that's forming. And Donald Trump will not be the headline of most of the days of my life on social things. But I think it was a great topic, and I think it was great for us to go into this philosophical asshole that we will not get out of, David. You got to do this with 3 hours. There is no resolution in this episode.
Yeah. I mean, I've got a few things to say, and then Omar, why don't you close this out?
Yeah.
I think to keep it simple, I would say, like, what I'm doing is, and I'm a political junkie. I love listening to this stuff, and I pay close attention to it, probably too much, but I find it entertaining at a certain point. But I think when it comes to young people, when it comes to our children, when it comes to our students, we cannot pretend that they are not experiencing something that is, I wouldn't say like not normal, but like it's probably extreme, like there's different versions of extreme. The radicalization of language, the radicalization of like posturing, the inability to like disagree based on your beliefs and then leave it there and not take it to the next level. And so, I think it's important to, talk to young people, ask them what they're seeing, make sure, going back to your point, Omar, that young people know that like fact checking is very important, right? It's a fundamental part of being a historian, a political scientist, is like fact checking. So making sure that when things come across their screens, if it doesn't look right or smell right or sound right, to fact check it. Some of the tools, I think, I spend a lot of time on X, and I think Grok does a pretty good job or X does a pretty good job of like fact checking, but because there's so much crazy stuff out there.
Right.
And then just talk to them, say like, what are you hearing?
Right.
What questions do you have? What are you worried about? What do you want to learn more about? Right. Just have an open dialogue. I mean, I'm about to go out and have tacos with my son, and part of that is like, because I can, and it's Tuesday and it's Taco Tuesday, but also it's like, I have to make sure that I'm like constantly checking in with him about like what he's hearing and what he's experiencing, to like undo, and push back against, whatever he might be hearing and experiencing. So, I'm just wondering about, I mean, that's where my head is with the stuff, just making sure that I'm plugged in so I can help him sort out what he's experiencing, because it's a lot. So I'm not going to lie, but Omar, what about you?
I worry for this nation. I worry for kids. I worry for critical thinking. I will say this, like, I have 2 goddaughters that are both 15 years old, and I speak with them frequently. And while 15-year-olds, I think, are more informed because of social media, TikTok, what's going on, I think they also, like Doc quite eloquently said, are really listening to the singers, the songwriters, the people that they have in their queue, and oftentimes taking their cues from them. And I think we did something very similar. So yeah, I may have been I am a weirdo. Let me rephrase that. I was not a weirdo. Still am a huge weirdo and could dissect Reagan's speeches when I was 8 years old. But I was taking a ton of cues from Carlin and Stewart and Dennis Miller at that time. And it's difficult not to be influenced by people that you have a heavy amount of respect for. You're listening to Tupac, like, shit, man, I love Tupac. And I think it was difficult not to be influenced from like that West Coast, East Coast thing. Do kids get caught up in all of this? I think that they do. I think that they oftentimes have differing opinions than their parents, which I find to be particularly fascinating, because their parents may be of one direction and kids of another. What I worry about the most always is critical thinking something that is getting lost? How can we reinstall it into every single human being on the planet, and especially within the United States? And within that critical thought, I will leave it with this. For our audience members who I adore, I don't think that this necessarily applies to you all, because you all are a very well-read group. And within that, I would urge people to actually, if you're going to get deeply involved in this conversation, go read the shit that you need to read. If right now you can't tell me who wrote the Federalist Papers, you need to get the fuck out of this conversation. And you're like, what does that have to do with anything? It has to do with everything. Because if you can't give me the basics, then you don't know the specifics. If you can't tell me what Federalist 10 says, get the fuck out of here. If you don't know what the 7th Amendment is, get the fuck out of here. You have no basis in this conversation. This is a conversation about the soul of this country, about who we are as a people, what leadership means, and the standards and ideas that we're beholden to as a country. And those things are predicated not just on freedom of speech, ladies and gentlemen, but on what does that speech incite us to do? Does it incite us to form a more perfect union? Or is it inciting the very hate and vitriol that we tried to get rid of, not only at the inception of this country in 1776, 1789, but in the 1860s, in the 1960s? This is an evolving country. And if you choose not to read and not to evolve, honestly, go sit at the fucking kids' table. Get the fuck out of here and don't lead anything other than your ass to the garbage can. On that note, I'm out. This has been the South Star Classroom, ladies and gentlemen.
All
David,
right. Awesome.
You want to take us away?
Yeah. I'll take us away. Thank you, Omar. Thank you, Dr.
Before
Cole.
I respond, take us out before I respond.
I will. It's getting late. And thank you to the chat. We had some really good back and forth people in the chat going back and forth. So we love that
We
engagement.
love our chat, man. They're great.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's good. It really.
We love our audience.
We pay
man. The
attention
chat's
to you all.
burning today. I loved
Newcomer
it.
Ice Cream Paints. I don't know who you are, but thank you for your post.
Yeah,
I
you're
think you were here
welcome.
before. Bill
Yeah.
Conrad, Nikki, you know, Alonzo.
Alonzo.
Yeah, man, we're not gonna miss
Alonzo.
nobody, man. Toya,
Yeah.
thank you all so much
Yeah,
for
Toya.
the engagement. Y'all make the
We
show
love it.
great.
And going back to Omar's earlier comments at the beginning of the show, you know, we're going into the holiday season, however you celebrate it. And if you do, if you don't, or however you do, take care of yourselves, find some time to rest
Love each other.
and love each other, be with friends, be with family, you know, get out, move your body around, clear your mind, reconnect, and we'll see you all in the new year. So peace out.
Peace out. Y'all take care.
Happy New Year.